Jiayang, let's see if we can untangle this web of corruption scandals from Odebrecht to Petrobras, corporate intrigues involving alleged kickbacks, graft, and cover-ups. I'm joined now by Peter Hakim, President Emeritus and a senior fellow at the Inter-American Dialogue. A lot to get here to, but the main question, could we see another impeachment in Brazil? Could we see Michel Temer removed from office?
It's possible. I mean, it's very hard to predict even 48 hours from now where we're going to be in the midst of a multiple crisis. It's a political crisis that's feeding an economic crisis. And of course, corruption surrounds everything now. And Michel Temer, the president, is clearly under the spotlight for association with corruption. He's being investigated, but so are half of the legislature and many of his ministers as well. I mean, the corruption. And so sure, we could see impeachment. I think what we're going to end up seeing either a removal of President Temer by one of the courts or his resignation. But it's coming clearer and clearer that he is just not able to govern now.
You know, just a year ago, it was Dilma Rousseff. She was removed from office because of corruption. Her predecessor, Lula da Silva, also being implicated. So what does this say about the types of corruption controversies happening in Brazil that go all the way straight to the top?
Well, I think corruption, as somebody said once about Mexico, is not only a problem for Brazil, it almost became part of the political system of Brazil. It was endemic, a chronic problem that grew over time as the cost of politics has grown over time. And it now is swallowing up most of political activity in Brazil and making it very hard to get any confidence among the voters in Brazil. And it's complicated by an economic recession in Brazil that's very deep and very sort of felt by a great majority of the population. And the combination, it's like a combination of chronic diseases.
You really can't pull them apart.
They can't pull them apart. You can't treat one without infecting the other. And it just makes for an almost impossible situation right now. And there's a group now of leaders that are trying to get together, ex-leaders, former presidents, some people in Congress to try and find some kind of negotiated solution among the various parties in Brazil. And but one expects, I think, that we're going to see somebody else in the presidential palace very soon in Brazil.
It sounds like the worst is far from over. There is a report that on June 3rd, the Attorney General's office in Brazil will start releasing names of more government officials in 11 countries who took nearly $800 million. So
yeah, Brazil is entrusted now increasingly internationally because it, you know, its largest construction firm has been involved, has been charged at some 10 or 11 countries now with having bribed senior leadership. 3 former presidents of Peru, for example, former finance ministers, presidents of other countries. And this makes it more and more difficult for Brazil to establish anything like normal relations internationally. Even with the United States, you're seeing a certain distance being built.
Will that prevent any other countries from investing in Brazil at the moment? Because just 5 years ago, Brazil was the darling of the global economy. Look, it was booming. They hosted the Olympics, the World Cup.
That's one of the chronic diseases of Brazil, unable to manage the economy during good times and then facing crisis when things go badly.
How long before we see some sort of change at the top of leadership in Brazil?
Well, like I say, I think we're going to see an interim president named very shortly. It may be the head of the House of Representatives in Brazil. But he's under investigation as well. But I think there'll either be a vote by Congress, which is in line with the Constitution, to select an interim president until the next election in October next year, or there may be sort of an effort to change the Constitution to allow for a direct election before the scheduled date.
All right, Peter Hakim, we appreciate it. As always, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.